there is a new part of the Defense Authorization Act which could make it legal for the U.S. to be able to detain anyone that is a U.S. citizen, and it would be at the discretion of the military, and it could be done here in the United States. Now, that was scary and terrible. There's something that is, well, I guess it's a new interpretation. It's something that we knew about before, but there's further details on it. So, you remember we killed Anwar Awlaki, who was the U.S.-born citizen of this country that happened to be in Yemen. Now, he was a propaganda guy for al-Qaeda. We believe that, we meaning the United States government, believed that he was now had an operational role in al-Qaeda, and hence he was targeted for death, and death he received. So now there were no trials, there was nothing, it was just a determination by the military and the president that he needed to be executed abroad, and he was through a drone strike. Well, CIA counsel Stephen Preston and Pentagon counsel Jay Johnson were talking about that recently, and they wanted to bring more clarity to the issue, and that clarity is disastrous. So when asked, so does that mean anybody can be targeted if they're a U.S. citizen abroad? Their answer was yes. U.S. citizens do not have immunity when they are, quote, at war with the United States. Now, you see the problem already, right? Well, what does that mean? Okay, so guy's got a machine gun and the Taliban's here and we're shooting at one another, and you shoot the guy, everybody gets it, right? And then you find out later that he's a U.S. citizen, or you found out beforehand the guy shooting at you is a U.S. citizen, but you got to stop him from shooting at you, right? Everybody understands that. But this is not that. This is, we have targeted a guy, he's a U.S. citizen. The minute we find him out in the open, we're going to drop a drone strike on his head and execute him, okay? So how do you determine that he's at quote-unquote at war with us? Well, Johnson, who is the Pentagon counsel, said that only the executive branch and not the courts are equipped to make military battlefield targeting decisions about who qualifies as an enemy. That's being reported by the Associated Press. So that means the military can, on its own, decide to execute any U.S. citizen abroad if they have deemed him at war with us. And let's hope they're right. That's not how it's supposed to be in the United States of America. It meant something to be a U.S. citizen. It meant you had rights. And when you have rights, the good guys have rights, and oftentimes the bad guys have rights. Look, we give rights to serial killers in this country. John Wayne Gacy, the killer clown who butchered dozens of kids. And we gave him rights. Why? Because as horrible a human being as he was a U.S. citizen. Jeffrey Dahmer, we gave him rights. He ate kids. He killed them, chopped them up, and ate them, and we gave him rights. Why? Because he's a U.S. citizen. It's not because we care about Jeffrey Dahmer. It's not because we want to protect John Wayne Gacy. It's because we're not sure who's guilty until we have the trial. We're trying to protect you. We're trying to protect all of us. That's the point of having rights as U.S. citizens. Under the new regime, and it was true under Bush, and it's now true under Obama, and even more so under Obama, the drone strikes have increased, and he's the first one to kill a U.S. citizen without trial abroad with knowledge beforehand, saying, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to execute this guy, right? So the new standard is, if you're abroad and you're a U.S. citizen, your rights are gone, okay? They're obliterated. And all there has to be is a secret determination by our military and the White House that you need to be executed, and you're done for. That is horrible. That is not what America is supposed to be all about. I brought up the detention thing earlier, right? It's because, think about the context. In the detention case, they're saying, well, the military can decide to give you indefinite detention, and you get one simple military hearing, not even a trial, and then you could be locked up forever. And that you could do inside the U.S. So now that we can execute U.S. citizens abroad without a trial, and we can detain U.S. citizens in the U.S. without a trial, how soon will we transition? First of all, we don't need to transition to anything else. Those two things are horrible, right? And by the way, the detention is not passed yet. It's passed the Senate. It's going to go to the House. Likely will pass the House, but the president says he's going to veto it. But if those things go through, and the executions abroad are already happening, you combine those two things, how quickly will we get to the point where we're executing U.S. citizens here in this country without a trial? This is madness. And it's not something that's like wildly hypothetical. It's something that we're right in the middle of as we speak, and the execution of U.S. citizens abroad is fact.